you mentioned the biggest outcome was that your list would know exactly what you're doing, and that they would know some of the accomplishments that you've made over the past few years. Is that correct?
Pretty much, yeah. That's exactly that. Exactly
Okay.
that.
Cool. So why don't they know what you do?
Why don't they know what I do? I don't put it out there. It's the first and most straightforward thing. I don't think, well, one of the reasons is because I think it wasn't actually finished as of maybe 6-8 months ago, but and then just busy doing other things. I didn't really shout about the things. I didn't really post on Facebook about things. I didn't. It's just my close group of friends that actually know what I'm doing, and then everyone else know that I'm making apps, but they have no idea, and websites, but they have no idea what I make and what I do.
Okay. And why is it important for you to share with your network and other people what you're doing?
Because it will allow me to sell my products automatically.
Okay. And are your products made for your contact list?
Most often than not, for my contacts. I find if each of my contacts knows 1,000 people, and the stuff that I do is quite cool, actually. So if they knew what I was doing, they would be happy to refer me next time they hear someone needing a web and or app developer.
Okay. So let's chuck this up and think about this in a bigger perspective. So the ultimate aim of your contact list, knowing what you do more, is for you to gain more clients. Am I hearing that correctly?
That's correct. That's correct overall.
Okay.
It can be a few clients more. Just I can then charge more. I can charge more. I can have more clients, and
Okay.
people can view me differently as well. The full pack comes with it.
All right. So lots to do. Okay. So with that said, what do you think it has stopped you previously from sharing what you've been doing on social media or on the world and things like that?
The top one blocker. Being kind of ashamed of it, because I think at the beginning it wasn't quite good.
Sure.
And then I find to be quite of a perfectionist, and then I guess that's also that's
okay.
a perfectionist as well.
All right. There's a tiny little bit of lag, so I'm going to quickly switch to a voice call, if that's okay, just so I can hear you clearly. Is that all right?
That is perfectly fine.
All right, cool. Sorry, this tends to happen when I'm in China. So,
I'll do it
cool.
then.
All right, nice. So you mentioned that you're a perfectionist, okay? So how has that stopped you in the past?
I wouldn't say that I'm the most perfectionist person. Notably for development, I am not. It's regarding the marketing that I am. But how has that affected me in the past? I have had to work on this quite some time. I think I have had to work on it. I'm not the most perfectionist person, to be honest. It depends on which areas of life.
Okay.
To answer the question a bit more specifically, I think now I would be very happy to share the stuff that I've done. But I don't have a strategy, and I don't want it to be too much. And I need that to fit within my brand. I cannot be like a week shouting about 4 different things and the next week nothing.
Okay.
Oh, no marketing. Not having a marketing strategy is what is stopping me the most, number one. Second, I was ashamed of the work that I was doing probably 6 months ago. And then number 3, being a perfectionist, in that order.
Okay. So, few different things going on here. Okay. So let's first direct this conversation on this being a perfectionist. Okay. So you said you're a perfectionist in some areas and not others. And that's understandable given that you obviously are a web developer and a coder, so things need to be right with regards to bugs. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where else are you a perfectionist in your life?
Where else? Um, 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 Sometimes relationships, I guess.
Okay.
In the work that we deliver, most notably, that's most of the work that we deliver, and relationships. I think there's much.
Okay.
On my football, I am all right. On my music, I am not such a perfectionist. On my dancing, because I do salsa dancing, I am not so much of a perfectionist either.
Okay. So let me get a better understanding of just your life and your situation as well at the moment. So are you in a relationship?
No.
Okay.
With related.
And when was your last relationship?
Oh, my last formal relationship was probably 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Long time.
Okay, cool. All right. And do you have a good relationship with your parents? Are you close to them?
Yeah, so they're both divorced. I see both of them maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Probably I see my mom maybe in total number of days, a month and a week or so per year, and my dad around 2 weeks. So when we see each other, it's really good because we don't see each other often at all. So it's very good. Childhood was pretty tough, to be honest, I think.
Okay. What makes you say that?
I think dad left home when I was like 10, and then me and my sister fought a lot.
Okay. And is your sister older or younger?
Younger, 4 years old, younger sister.
Okay, 4 years younger. Cool. So big brother, man of the house after your dad left, I assume, and had lots of responsibility. Am I hearing that correct?
At least gave myself a lot of responsibility. Yeah, I think my mom tried to protect me from that as much as possible.
Okay.
But effectively, 10-year-old responsible for the house.
All right, all right. So I imagine that you grew up pretty quickly. And let me just quickly ask this question, just so we can see if we can understand your psychology a little bit more. Usually what happens, just so you're aware, in these sorts of situations and in life, is that there's usually something that blocks us that's more psychological than actual strategy. Some of the things that you've mentioned is that you feel that you're a little bit of a perfectionist in some areas, and there's something stopping you, and you were mentioning it was marketing strategy. But my hunch, my intuition is I'm guessing it's actually more of a psychological block than a strategy block, if that makes sense.
It's what I'm getting the feeling as we speak.
Okay, very cool. So let me ask you some other questions that you may not have thought about before. So when you were a child, okay, whose love did you want more, right? Whose love did you want more? Your mom or your dad?
Probably my mom.
Okay.
I would have been
Different.
inclined to say my mom.
Okay, so you wanted your mom's love more, is that right?
I think so, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
or at least I think that I think so, yeah.
Okay, great. And who did you have to be in order for your mum to love you? Were there any certain types of behaviors? Did you have to be successful? Did you have to be funny? Did you have to be, what did you have to be in order to receive your mum's love?
I had to be nice. Nice is the first word that comes to mind.
All right. So you had to be nice. What else?
I'm wondering if there's one of them. She tried to protect me a lot from that consciously.
Sorry, say that one more time. You think what was one of them?
I think that I'm thinking to myself if responsible is one of them.
Okay, to be
Um,
responsible, be nice. What else?
be nice, be responsible. Um,
What does responsible mean?
it's a tough one. It's a tough one. She did her best to try not to make me kind of responsible for the well functioning of the house. I don't know. I guess I just took that by myself. I saw that there was no more father, and so someone had to kind of put
Hmm.
some order in the house. Notably, I think I don't know. Mom was very nice. I think it's very strange to. I haven't unpacked that for myself. I'm trying to do my best right here for
Okay,
you.
okay, okay. So take a deep breath in. Okay, and out. Now, you are a web developer, so you're very good at analyzing things, I would imagine. Would you say that's true? One of your strengths is analysis?
Very true.
Okay, great. Analysis isn't going to help in these sorts of situations because what's going to happen is your brain is going to say something and you will analyze it before you say it to see if it's correct.
That
Okay,
is
did
me
you?
100% all of the time.
Okay, great. So even though it is an incredible strength with coding, with your work, with everything that you do, it's going to stop us from understanding your psychology at a deeper level because what will happen is you'll think about something, but you're going to analyze it before you say it. So it's not really what you were first thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you would analyze it 3, 4, 5 levels deep down before saying it,
Oh,
just to make.
I imagine that would be the case. Yes, you're very, very good at this, I'm sure. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do something a little bit different. And instead of thinking about it, I just want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind. Is that okay?
Wow, I haven't done this in. I don't think I have a memory of me doing that in such a long time. I had to, notably for my school, I had to think carefully about what I was saying twice, 3 times, 4 times before. Otherwise,
Okay, great.
got
So
in
this is
trouble
going
a
to
few
be a
times.
really fun experiment for you.
Oh my God, we'd have to turn on our cameras or retry if that's okay for you. I think.
Yeah, yeah, of course we can turn on the camera. Sure, why not? Let me see if it's more stable. Bear with
Start
me.
my video.
All right. So, you ready for this? It'll be very easy.
Yeah, let's.
All right,
I'm
cool.
following your lead.
All right, nice. So, first things
You know,
first. What is your favorite color?
blue,
Okay. What is your favorite fruit?
apples,
Okay. What is your least favorite vegetable?
lettuce.
And what's your favorite sport?
It's not necessarily true. I'm just saying the first word that comes to mind. But
That's okay. That's okay. That's
I'll
okay.
play with you. I'll play with you.
Don't analyze. Don't analyze. Okay.
Okay,
So, all right. What is your favorite sport?
football.
Okay. What are some things that you had to be in order to receive your mum's love? You had to be what? First thing that comes to mind.
Nice.
Uh-huh. What else?
Nice.
I had to be nice, be what? Be
Responsible for my grades at school. Um, and that's it.
okay. And when you say responsible for grades, what does that mean to you? Does that mean you had to get good grades, bad grades, perfect grades? What does that mean?
Average plus grades was enough.
Okay, just average grades would be enough. All right, nice. And would your mom want you to be perfect at all, or would she want you to just be average?
Uh, Inside, she wants me to be very, very good. She understood that she understood that grades at school may not necessarily mean how great you are, but yeah, she always wanted me to be very, 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 very good. I think in deep inside, outside of words and yeah, a few layers down, she invested a lot of time and effort in my education.
Okay, okay. So from average, she also wanted you to be very, 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 very good.
She would have been extremely pleased if that was the case.
Okay, so let's dive into some other areas of your psychology. First of all, you're doing great. Okay,
Wow.
I can see that this is a little bit different for you, and it's very cool that you're so open to do this. As you probably know, Einstein says insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results. So naturally, you doing something different is going to help us yield different results in your life. So next, what do
I
you
have
think
to,
it?
I
Yeah,
do
go
have
on.
to add on that, that literally day to day, literally, like I sort of just day to day, I have to think so carefully about everything that I say, especially as a web developer, because you have, especially if I'm managing sites where I have the responsibility that I have, you can't say something that is incorrect because you have to keep your brand, like your correctness consistent across an extremely long period of time, and you cannot afford even one mistake. Like say, I told you, you asked me what's your favorite fruit. I said apple. My favorite fruit is probably, thinking about it, I'd say watermelon, pineapple, or banana. Apple, I don't necessarily, but it's the one that I eat the most often. And I think
Okay, so
in work, I couldn't do that in work because
all right, all right, all right.
that's
So
interesting.
let's just dive into that example. Okay, so when we analyze things, there are lots of different factors that go into it. When you trust your intuition, you said apple. If you looked at your life and you saw how many apples that you ate, you would probably see that okay, this could be his favorite fruit given how much he eats it, as an example, right?
Yeah, I do eat a lot of apples.
Okay, but often we get in something called analysis paralysis. And analysis paralysis, I'm sure you're aware of what that means. I'm guessing by your reaction.
It's self-explanatory, but I'll let you explain.
Sure, but very simply, people analyze so much, they get in a paralysis and then they don't know what to do. Because there's too many factors to take into account, so they stay stuck where they are. Any of this resonating with you so far?
I can relate. I can relate. I can relate.
Okay. So when it comes to getting things wrong, okay, if you get something wrong and you're not correct all the time, what does that mean to you?
Ooh, for my work, it's pretty bad.
Right? What does it mean? Don't tell me it's pretty bad. What does it
Oh,
mean?
failure.
First thing
Yeah,
that comes
failure.
up
Failure
means
is
failure.
good. Good, yeah.
And is
Good
failure a good or a bad thing?
bad.
Okay. And why is it bad? Because if you fail, what happens?
Because then I think that one of the principal reasons why clients buy from me is because I can give a coherent, correct answers across a long period of time, and then that just inspires a lot of confidence in that they know that whatever I say is it's not only correct but will also happen or like that. So I do feel quite a lot of pressure to keep that
Really?
as
You feel
is.
pressure from having to be correct all the time for a long period of time? You feel pressure with that? No.
I do.
So
So I live in a different
if
world.
if a mistake means failure and you associate failure with a bad thing and you believe that one of the reasons that you have clients is because they believe that you're going to be consistent and correct over a long period of time, it would make sense as to why you're so scared and hesitant to share things on social media or marketing, given how much variety and how many factors there are that are there. Would you say that's true?
Correct.
All right. So I guess we're fucked. I guess there's nothing we can do, really.
Great. At least we've pinpointed it down.
Okay. So are you getting a few insights into your psychology and into your life right now?
So I'm taking some notes as well. Mistake or a mistake. I think it's even worse than a mistake. It's a misaccuracy.
Okay. And what is the misaccuracy that you've calculated?
Well, you know, a mistake is when you do something wrong. A misaccuracy is when you are not 100% accurate when you say a sentence.
Okay.
So we're even more fucked than if it was just a simple mistake.
Okay, so a misaccuracy is worse than a mistake.
Well, no, I mean technically no. A misaccuracy is lighter. It's like,
okay,
misaccuracy is a small thing. A mistake is a big thing. But a misaccuracy, yeah, I feel like it's failure.
And when you feel yeah, go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please carry on.
Yeah, so it's exactly the same thing that, as you mentioned. I guess I just make a distinction between a misaccuracy, which misaccuracy is, say, a mistake is when you make someone lose $1,000 because you did something stupid. It's
okay.
A mistake. A misaccuracy is when you say something along the lines of which version of your website, which PHP version of your website is your website running on, for example. That may be a misaccuracy if you say, oh, I think it's 5.6, for example, or 7, something like that. It's a misaccuracy. A mistake, it's like that to say, I get very fussed about extremely small things. I try to be 100% accurate on the smallest things. I try to be so accurate.
So
I maybe lose quite a lot of brain power. That's
I imagine that there's a lot of brain power that goes into that. Okay. So first of all, it's a necessity for a lot of the work that you do. Okay. And the reason that you are so good at it is because you can look at things in detail, analyze everything, and get them 100% correct, which is why you're probably thriving with the clients that you're with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the only downside is that you use a lot of brain power, there's a lot of stress, and there's other side effects that may also arise from doing this not only at work, but in every other area of your life. Except when you have moments where you let go, such as dancing or music, where there is no need for this perfectionist standard.
Bang on.
All right. So next is the standard of a perfectionist is actually one of the lowest standards and is the lowest standard for people, which is strange to hear. Because the reason that I say that is because a perfectionist standard you can never meet, because nothing can ever be perfect. It can always be improved. So by putting a standard of being a perfectionist, it means that you're constantly striving for something that you could never reach, which would mean that you would constantly put stress on yourself, and there's a bar that is impossible for you to reach and maintain to. So it's actually one of the lowest standards. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Elaborate on lower standards, because it cannot be met, and so then you just have a standard on yourself that you cannot meet. There could be an easier standard that you could put on yourself. Correct. Things would be easier for
you could put a low standard, you could put an easy standard, you could put an outstanding standard, you could have an excellent standard, you could have a very high standard, but a very high standard is different to a perfectionist standard. Because when you start using words like perfectionist, it stops you making mistakes, because if you make a mistake, then you're not being perfect.
Yes.
So one of the things that a lot of people struggle with is they want to do their very best and be a perfectionist. However, it's limiting them in the sense of they're not free to make mistakes and think creatively, because they're constantly trying to fit themselves into this perfect box or perfect circle.
This me right there.
Okay. So even though this has served you in a great way and has got you to where you are, in order for you to move to perhaps a different place where you're experimenting more with different brands, where you have back and forth and you correct your mistakes, then you're going to be facing an issue unless we have that sort of shift or that change, because otherwise you're just going to stay in this box and have the same sort of life.
And elaborating on that, I've had to be a perfectionist, yeah, at work quite a lot, especially with the responsibilities that I have. Yeah, from my family when I was little, at school as well. Yeah, at school very much, I think. Yeah, in most of in the important areas, only in the important areas of my life.
So only the important ones you have to be a perfectionist in.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you a perfectionist?
I would not identify myself as such. I don't think so.
Okay, I very much agree with that statement. I think that you have perfectionist behaviors that you have learnt over a period of time through the associations that you've made in your life.
Yes.
So what would we call someone that has perfectionist behaviors in relationships, at work, at school, where they're constantly stressed? What would we call someone like that? If we were to give them a funny name, what would we call that type of person or that person?
But when I had my relationship, I was also a perfectionist on that area as well. So
I imagine that was a big factor, yes. But that's another subject. We will dive into that at some point. So let's stay on track. So what would you call someone like that has perfectionist standards, that puts a lot of stress and pressure on themselves? I want you to come up with a funny name. Don't think about it too much. I want you to tell me a name in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. What's the name?
An idiot.
An idiot. Okay, cool. An idiot. Now, why would that person be an idiot?
Because if you're too much a perfectionist, that doesn't take you anywhere. You add stress on yourself.
Okay. So the question I now have to you is, if you're not this person that has a perfectionist behavior or this idiot as such, what would you do instead?
I am still having, I think it's just been announced to me that we've just unpacked this, and so I guess I'm not exactly quite feeling the, I cannot really, well, I'm starting to being able to differentiate the perfectionist in me. I don't know, it's just new to me. For me to call that side of myself an idiot is kind of true, but can we give it a better name?
Of course we can. What name would you like to give it?
There's a word in Spanish that explains it well, and it's when you want to know everything, when you want to be right all the time. Mr. Right would be a Mr. Right.
Mr. Right. Okay. Very good. I like that reframe, Mr. Right. Okay. So if you weren't being Mr. Right, and who has very high standards and needs to be right all the time and sort of thinks everything in about 7 levels deep, right? What would you be doing instead if you weren't being Mr. Right?
Mr. Right has served very, 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 very much.
Correct. Mr. Right has been the man who's been leading you in your life, in your relationships, pretty much all over, right? Anything that's important to you, Mr. Right is there. Now, Mr. Right has served you, like you said, very well, because having Mr. Right there has taught you a lot about things with regards to how to be right a lot of the time. You've gained a lot of knowledge and you've got a deeper understanding of your work, of maybe relationships and things like that. However, there are some side effects to being Mr. Right. And let's go for a funny one, for example, in relationships, because there'll be a time when you think that you're right and Mr. Right will say that is right, and your partner may say that you're wrong, at which point there could issues could arise because of Mr. Right standards of being right, and for the other person to understand that he's right and looking at all the factors that he's right. Would that be any truth in what I'm saying so far?
True. It's fair to say that also in the genealogy in the family we have a Mr. Right issues as well. I think now that I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Grandpa,
so,
most precisely. Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen if you stay as Mr. Right for the foreseeable future?
The plan before the mentoring session was to keep being Mr. Right because he served very well for a career purpose. And I cannot identify, at least by myself, any other way that would keep me on track.
Okay, so what we just established, just pause and let me explain this to you, is that the reason that you stay with Mr. Right is even though he has weaknesses, you have no other option that you can see that will serve you. Okay? So this is why, and this is for an understanding for you, that a lot of people remain stuck. Because they understand that there's issues with what they're doing, but they don't have an empowering alternative to help them move forward. So,
I understand.
in order for us to do this, we have to be a little bit creative, not analytical, creative, in order to think of some other ways in which we could perhaps move forward in life. Now, the aspect of your life that you mentioned was your career. So let's dive into that a little bit more. So what are some other options that you could do in your career as opposed to being Mr. Right that could lead to even better results? If you weren't keeping yourself in a box and you weren't always trying to be right, what could you do differently?
I think I liked very, very, very much the differentiation between analytic and creative, because as soon as you phrased it, I was like, creative? Nah, I'm analytic.
Okay, now, okay, so just a sec. Are you analytic? Okay.
Hell yeah.
So anything that you put after I am is what you are. Fact. Because you believe you are it. Now, throughout your life, you've certainly developed certain strengths and certain behaviors, but what's happening now is that you associate who you are with this part of yourself, and you can't be anything different if you say that's what you are.
Mm-hmm.
So previously, when I'm asked about the perfectionist, you say, I wouldn't identify, and your words were, I wouldn't identify with being a with a perfectionist. And then we were talking about the fact that you had those behaviors. However, what you have done is you said that I am analytical. So I agree, there are certain aspects of your work where you're very analytical. However, if you were only analytical, you wouldn't have been able to do the other exercises previously.
Yes.
Go on, please.
I also have a very creative side, which is on the other two areas that I mentioned that are kind of fun, which are my music and my dancing.
All right. So tell me, what would happen if you combined creativity and analytical together?
Yeah. A very positive outcome. And
yeah, go on, please.
And you were asking me, you wanted to fish for what areas of my life would do with some more creativity. In fact, I think in those areas of life where I already have some creativity, which is in dance and music, I can see how some more creativity would take them to the next level.
Okay.
Sometimes think too much, just let go.
Okay, wait. So when you let go, how does that make you feel when you let go?
It's very good. It's very good when you allow yourself to be able to do that. Great.
All right, when you allow yourself to do that. Okay. And do you think there's sometimes to be creative and sometimes to be analytical in life?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me, what would happen if you added more creativity to your career? What do you think could happen?
Yeah, it would probably skyrocket.
It would skyrocket. Oh, don't do that. Okay.
No.
Whatever you do, don't be creative in your career. Because what we don't want to do is to skyrocket it. That sounds awful. Well, like whatever you do from this conversation, take anything, whatever you do, just be analytical. I don't add any sort of creativity. Because if you have creativity, then your career could skyrocket. And then we both wouldn't know what to do because we wouldn't be able to analyze all the situations and all the outcomes. It would just be a very, very stressful stage of our life. Cool.
There you go.
All right. So, adding this sort of creative side and letting go, how would that skyrocket your career?
I think that I'd be creative in ways that I can't even imagine I'd be right now. And I think that I'm at a pivotal point where I've been analytical enough to build my processes and to kind of build the foundations. And now it's time to see what else we can do with the base that we've built a great.
Okay.
Yeah, we've
So
built a great.
I'm just going to pause you
base.
briefly. Okay. And the reason I am is because of the language that you're using. The language that you're using is we, which disassociates you from saying I. So if you can say I, because it'll come more from you, because when we say we, it's sort of disassociating ourselves from certain behaviors. So see with the language that you're saying now, just replace we with I and just notice how it feels different, okay?
Okay, so the reason of the we was because of my company. I think there's more people who have helped me to build this little base that is kind of cool. So that's why I said we. It would be very unfair to say I built the thing. I think this is very, very, very unfair. But
Sure.
if we are replacing the words just for exercise sake.
Okay, so in which case, what I'd say is the we with the base, keep, but any of the feelings and any of the changes that you want to make, say I, if that's okay.
So can you please repeat your question?
Yes, of course. So what I'm looking for now is I'm saying that if you were to combine your creativity with your analytical side, what would be some of the things that you would do different that could help skyrocket your career?
I would be able to, so we have built this base, which is very, 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 very well equipped to tackle the future. Now it's a very, very boring base because I've not been creative enough. I need to think where we put our furniture, where do we strategically place our cannons, because they're all built, but they're all in the basement. So I need to think where we put them, where I put them. Yeah, I need to embellish and to flourish a little bit, or very much what has been analyzed or built.
Okay, so how would you do that? Give me an example. What would you do differently?
I would need to think exactly who I want to reach and who I want to partner with and who I want to work with and what deals I want to have in place that are best for me and for them, and allow that to happen, or at least propose that to the best of my ability. Love that.
What else could you do?
That would be a big one already, but what else can we do? Or what else can I do? Abstract, but I could bring a lot of happiness inside the business and to my clients and to my people, if I was a bit more creative, much more, especially if I delegate all the analytics tasks to them. So maybe not quite ready for that yet, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Embellishing.
Uh-huh. And let's say you're embellishing, you're moving your cannons and you're moving your furniture, and you started to be a little bit more creative. What do you think would happen over the next few months?
Yeah, we'll say I have like a beautiful castle where everything's well placed, all of our defenses, but all of our nice structure as well, and everything makes sense with the environment as well, just everything. What would happen? Then we would actually have a functional castle that has a bigger purpose than having everything built inside the basement. That's not really being used.
Okay. Now, tell me, knowing that you're going to be building that castle, how does that make you feel?
Great, love it. That's
Okay.
exactly what I'm. It's exactly what I'm looking forward to do.
All right.
Or yeah.
Okay.
I don't dare to do it, but I am looking forward to do it.
Okay. And what would we call someone that's building castles, being creative, sort of embellishment, taking out the furniture, the cannons? What would we call someone that's being creative, analytical, but the structure? What would we call someone like that?
Well, word that comes to mind is a king, but
okay,
rephrasing it to some word that we don't really want to address.
All right. So when I say the word king, how does that make you feel?
I like it, but I am a bit afraid that may be a bit too much responsibility.
Okay. Why do you feel there's too much responsibility? Is it the word or is it the actions of building the castle? What is it?
I think it's what we spoke about, that if I do something wrong, that's failure because I'm a perfectionist in that area of my life.
Okay. So there's something that's stopping you, and that's if you make a mistake. Am I hearing that correct? Or if you fail? Okay. So what happens? You're gone, please.
It's even stupider than that. It's being not accurate about things that bothers me even so more than a mistake.
Okay.
What a strange issue to have.
All right. So first of all, I acknowledge you because you are definitely diving into this and you're looking into your psychology probably much more than most people ever do in their life, especially over the course of the past 45 minutes. Right? So first of all, I really acknowledge that, right? Because that takes a lot of courage to do that. Now, next is that when looking into some of what you say about how, not being accurate is worse than being a mistake. So are there people in life that have not been accurate but have been very successful?
So gut reaction, no.
Okay, gut reaction, no. So let's use some examples, right? Have you ever heard of a man called Thomas Edison?
Yes.
All right. Would you say that man was quite a successcul person?
Did he have a the guy career? Who failed
He's
because
the person that
Tesla
made about 10,000. No, that's Elon Musk is Tesla. Thomas Edison is the man that invented the light bulb.
Yeah, he failed miserably because Tesla was working for, like Tesla, the guy was working for him. And Tesla is the guy who invented AC. I think Edison invented DC and failed because he didn't want to give his employees enough freedom. I think, or he didn't give Tesla the right deal. Failed.
Sure. So diving into the example of Edison, he failed 10,000 times before he succeeded.
He didn't succeed in my mind, I think. Edison invented DC, but I think for power lines we use AC, and Tesla is the guy who made it.
Sure. So in which case, who is someone that you believe is successful?
Damn, gut reaction, Elon Musk, but he is analytical as I can't even believe.
Sure. So let's dive into Elon Musk, okay, as someone that you admire. Has Elon Musk ever made a mistake?
Probably, but he tries to be as accurate as he can everywhere.
He does. But when looking into his life, and have you ever read his autobiography?
No, I've watched YouTube videos on his autobiography, but
Okay, sure.
no.
So when diving into Elon and we look at his life, right, and he started at PayPal, right, as one of like the bigger companies that he started to create.
Mm-hmm.
There's many mistakes that he made with regards to management and things like that also ended up to be opportunities as well for him to open up other projects. Right now he's got three companies that are being massively creative in different fields. Now, do you remember one of his companies, he was selling flamethrowers in order to raise money?
Okay.
Okay, so they were selling flamethrowers in order to raise money. Do you think he was being creative at that time by selling flamethrowers in order to raise money?
Most definitely, yeah.
Okay. Do you think that there could have been mistakes involved in some of the things that he was doing that could lead to issues when you're selling flamethrowers?
Yeah, I need to have to correct that. I think it's not the fact of making a mistake. It's more the fact of not being accurate that bothers me the most. I don't know if that's even true or a thing or not, but
okay. So all we're diving into is you. Okay, so don't analyze it too much. Let's go on to not being accurate. So what does not being accurate mean to you?
well, that's failure. I think people who are not accurate, they're just it's just people who don't progress. In my mind, it's just if you're not accurate, you can't progress or just
okay. So one of the things that you mentioned is that if you could think creatively, you would skyrocket in your career because at the moment you're stuck in the basement.
That's also correct.
In order to skyrocket, okay, and if you look at the people that do amazing things, they often have failures and have mistakes because they have to learn from them. However, they often don't call them mistakes or failures, but they call them learning opportunities.
Okay.
What was it that you were going to say?
It was, I still don't know what to do about, why do I think that not being, I still don't know what to even do with this. I think, I see sometimes Elon is like extremely creative to, even to having come up with the idea to make Tesla Solar City and like most notably going to Mars. I think that's, you need some level of creativity to be able to think that in the first place. He also, but maybe he's like, maybe I shouldn't compare to him because his IQ must be like way off the charts. So maybe he can handle to be 100 times more analytic than I can be and also creative on top, okay. Probably.
So Elon's strength lies not in his IQ, nor his analytical ability, nor just his creativity. His strength lies in his understanding of when to use which one.
Okay.
Because both are relevant. You need your analytical side, but you also need your creativity. One of the reasons that you mentioned that you would skyrocket and you'd start building a castle is because you've got a combination of them both. And you know when to use each strength. The difference is Mr. Right only has one strength, and his only strength is to analyze everything and be right.
Yes, that's correct.
Is where you have an option to be creative, and mistakes are there, but that's okay because you're being creative. And then when you need to be analytical, you can turn to be analytical.
I think I tend to favor 90%. If I was going to rate my life in terms of that, it'd be 90% analytic and 10% creative.
Okay, great. So if that was the case so far in your life, what do you think the percentages would have to be in order for you to start being the castle builder and to start building the castle? What would have to shift?
Probably 65% analytical, 45% creative. Or well, probably even 50-50 at this point. But yeah, I am not very good at swapping the levels around. I think it's maybe the variance that I achieve now is maybe 90-10, and then on extreme cases it's like 80-20, 80% analytical and 20% creative. It's kind of the playing range that we have.
So
but yeah,
if you were, right, to let go of some of the needs of the analytical, and you were to add some more creativity, and we would spice it up, and we would have put you as the king of the castle, we would have a bit of fun and let go of some things in the process.
I like the idea. It's just it's been such a long time. I guess I can even hardly recall a time where that was swapped around, where it was 80% creative and 20% analytic, or even 90% creative and 10% analytic.
What's it like when you dance salsa?
It's very good, especially when you do let go.
Why is it good when you let go in salsa?
I'm not responsible for anything. Yeah, not responsible for anything for a start.
Can you be responsible for something and be creative at the same time?
Gut feeling, gut response, no.
Okay, is that true?
No.
Okay, why is it not true?
Because if you learn how to be analytical and creative, you need a balance to be able to build your thing and grow your thing.
Why do you need a balance in order to be able to build your thing and grow your thing?
Because if you don't have balance, because if you're not creative, it wouldn't grow.
So if it wouldn't grow and you weren't creative, what would happen to you?
Well, you just increase the number of cool things that are in your basement.
So my question to you is, do you want to carry on living in your basement?
It's a comfortable place.
Correct, it is. It is comfortable. And that's why you've stayed there. And this is why most people don't change, because it's comfortable. And you know the results, and it'll stay exactly the same. But if you want to remain in your comfort zone and be average, that's cool. Maybe you were built for average, and maybe you just want to do everything in an average way. Maybe. Or maybe you're someone that says, you know what, I've been in the basement a very fucking long time, all right? I know what I'm doing, and I'm actually made for more than just being in a basement. I want to build a castle. I want to start actually helping people on a much larger basis and stop playing small. Because I deserve to think bigger, and I deserve to really skyrocket my career and my business. And the only way that's going to happen is if I step out.
Am I ready for the jump?
I assume that's a rhetorical question. Are you?
I have been hiding a long time, looks like.
Correct, you have. You've been hiding in the basement a long time, and it only takes a second to jump out. When you jump out, then other opportunities can occur. But like I said, if you want to stay average and stay where you are, that's cool too.
I am scared.
So, do you know what happens for people to be courageous? In order for people to be courageous, courage doesn't exist if fear isn't there. Because in order for people to be courageous, it's something that they're scared of or something that they fear, but they do it anyway. And they take the leap and they take the jump, and that's where courage is formed. Now, right now, you've got a few insights and you can decide to do something different, but it's like a window and it opens. And either you smash through, you jump through, you can start jumping out of your basement and you start creating a massive castle, or you can choose to stay where you are and know that it's your choice. But right now, you've got a very important decision to make, and it's not something that's going to be solved through analysis, because analysis is what will keep you stuck. you can't solve the problem with the same thinking that was used to develop the problem.
That pinpoints it right down. So accurate, extremely accurately. Yeah, I would like to start building a castle. I wonder if I'm quite ready yet. So when you put your cannons out, you're vulnerable as well. You've shown your hand as well.
Is vulnerability a good or a bad thing?
It depends. Well, depends on your environment.
Vulnerability, once again, takes courage because you could get judged. Things could go wrong. The only way to move forward with that is to do it. Now, if you choose to stay where you are and think you're not ready and analyze, then the truth is you may not ever be ready because there won't ever be a perfect time. The only time we ever have is now. It's the only time we have. We have now, and then we have now, and then we have now, and then there's now, and then there's now, and then when you're ready, there's now. The future is a figment of our imagination, and the past is just a memory. Only thing we have is now. So, would you like to be a castle builder now, or would you like to be the Mr. Right in the basement that's really enjoying his life and having a lot of fun?
I would love to tell you that I'd be this king building his amazing castle, but I'd like to start doing it slowly.
Okay. You can do it slowly, and you can build it brick by brick, but in order to do that, you would have to leave the basement.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, do you want to leave the basement?
Yeah.
Must you leave the basement?
Yes.
Why must you leave the basement?
Because otherwise, we're not gonna grow. Just building stuff in the basement it's not even fun, I think.
So you're gonna have more fun, you're also gonna grow, and you're gonna move forward and start to build a castle. How does that sound?
Great. Let's get started.
Okay, that sounds good. All right. So what would we call this person that steps out the basement, starts to have a bit more fun and starts to grow a bit more? What would we call someone like that?
Just the fact that I'm struggling to give these guys names is how far they were from my thinking before the call. A name.
Okay. Take a deep breath.
Probably.
In. And out.
It's probably an adventurer. I would need a better name.
Adventurer. How does that sound, being an adventurer?
It's good enough. Very good. Good enough.
Yeah. All right. So tell me, if you started to be an adventurer in your life, how would your life change?
Yeah, it would literally skyrocket. It's the only thing that I need. It's the only thing that I need.
Wow. So the adventure is the only thing that you need. So what's going to be different now that you start to be the adventurer?
Start to allow, rounds back, I'll start to allow more mistakes. What that really means is starting to contact the people who I want to contact and propose deals that I want to propose, and start doing things the way that I think that is right to do.
Okay, nice. What else are you going to do as the adventurer?
Yeah, just go out there, conquer the world, see what's up, do some new things, shake it up.
Go out and conquer the world and shake it up. Fuck, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, shake it up.
All right, shake it up, shake it up. So I have a question for you, though. So I want you to do me a favor, okay? So I want you to slide back from the desk, okay? Okay, so slide back. You've got your headphones in, right? So you can't go back too far. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
that's fine.
So,
Yeah.
this is what I want
Very
you to
long.
imagine. All right, cool. I want you to imagine on the floor in front of you, I want you to put Mr. Right on the left, and I want you to put the adventurer on the right. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Let's
Okay,
do
so
it.
imagine that you put them down. All right, okay, so put them down, and I want you to put them down on the floor in front of you, okay?
Okay, all right. I'm reading Harry Potter 1, which is the embodiment of the adventurer, isn't it? I think that's kind of
All
why
right,
I'm
so
reading it, actually.
all right, so put that down on your right,
It
okay?
is on my
Right
right.
on the floor, all right? And then what's on the left?
On the floor, yeah?
Yeah, on the floor, on the floor, on the floor. Okay, great. So what I want you to do now is I want you to take a deep breath in and out. Now I want you to step, okay, or slide your chair into Mr. Right, okay? And we're going to pretend that you're Mr. Right, and I want you to feel what it's like being Mr. Right, okay? So you're going to move there in 3, 2, 1, and go. So move into Mr. Right, right? How does it feel being Mr. Right on a scale of 1 to 10?
I don't like it. Take me
Why
out
don't
of
you
here.
like it? Why don't you like it?
It's not even a 1, it's 0, actually.
It's
It feels like a
0.
0.
Why is it 0? Do you feel how heavy it is being Mr. Right?
Yeah.
Do you feel the pressure?
Yes.
Okay,
Responsibility,
would you like to stay as
pressure.
Mr. Right, or would you like to change?
I want to change. I don't want to be here.
Okay, would you like to move away, or do you want to stay there? It's up to you. You can move away if you want, or you can stay next to Mr. Right. Would you like to move?
Let's stay for 10 more seconds just to make sure that I actually want to leave, because this place is
All
horrible.
right. Well, I tell you what, think of all the pressure that you put on yourself. Think of how it affects you in your relationships, in your life, in your career, how it's stopping you from growing, staying in the basement, and notice all that pain and all that weight on you, constantly having to be right all the time. How does that feel?
Awful. It's awful. It's just, why? Why me? Pick someone else.
Right. So if you'd like to, you can step back and move out of Mr. Right if you want, or you can stay as Mr. Right.
I am stepping out.
You're stepping out? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So move out of Mr. Right. Okay. And I want you to take a deep breath in and out. And now I want you to spell Monday backwards.
Y-A.
All right, that's great. So now I want you to, when you're ready, you're going to start to step into the adventurer. Okay, you're going to step into the adventurer when I say, and you're going to feel what it's like being an adventurer and seeing what's going to happen in your life. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, and go. So step in the adventurer. What it's like. Take a deep breath in. Notice how much lighter it feels, the adventurer. And tell me, on a scale of 1 to 10, how does it feel being an adventurer?
A 9. I'd say a 9.
Oh, why is it a 9? Tell me, what's the difference between the adventure here? Tell me, what's going on?
Well, it feels like here I have more freedom. I can be myself. It's no pressure. I'm not responsible. Responsibilities for the other people. They can be responsible. Yeah, it feels like I can have a step back. No one expects anything from me. I don't owe anything to anyone. And I can just be.
Wow. Okay, so I want you to quickly step back out of the adventurer. Step back out.
No.
Okay, just you got to do this, okay? All right, so
No.
now, right, I just want to make sure because I don't know, all right? I want you to step in to Mr. Right one more time, just one more time. No, just one more time, do it for me. And then whenever you're ready, you can step back out. You can do it for 1 second, 2, but I want you to just feel what it's like. So feel the pressure, feel the heaviness. Step in, okay? Feel what it's like, and then step out whenever you're ready, and you can choose to change, okay? But I want you to step back in to the horrible Mr. Right in the next 3 seconds, okay? 3, 2, 1. Step into it. Feel the pressure, feel what it's like, feel how horrible it feels, how awful it feels. And then when you're ready, step out.
This is so awful. I just stay here to realize how ridiculous this is.
Okay, and step out whenever you're ready. Okay, And now I want you to move back into the adventurer whenever you're ready. 3, 2, 1, and go. And notice how it feels to be the adventurer, relax, freedom, chill, take a deep breath in. And now I want you to ask yourself a question, okay? So you're gonna take a deep breath in and out. I want you to think, as the adventurer, all I need to remember is, and what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I have to remember that I am free and I do not owe anything to anyone.
Wow, remember that I'm free and I don't owe anything to anyone. So if you don't owe anything to anyone, what does that mean?
That I'm free.
Right, I'm free. That sounds pretty damn cool. Okay, so as we are aware, the different parts of us serve us at different points, right? Now, Mr. Right has helped you become the man that you are today. However,
very much so.
He wasn't going to help you become the man that you need to be in order to live the life that you want. In order for that to happen, you had to step into the adventure and start doing new things.
Extremely much so.
Okay.
Extremely much so.
What I'd like for you to do now is just to thank Mr. Right. So I want you to close your eyes, okay? And I want you to imagine thanking Mr. Right and do whatever you have to do in order to let Mr. Right go and to step fully in the adventure. So maybe you need to give him a hug, let him go. So you'll find whatever it is, okay? But I want you to close your eyes, okay? Take a deep breath in and out. And I want you to visually imagine whatever you need to do in order to let Mr. Right go.
For the purpose of exercise, we have the adventurer here and we have Mr. Right here, whom we are thanking right now for having us, allowed me to go through extremely tough times, very, 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 very tough times. Like huge storms. I think cannot even describe with word. I think huge storms is the most accurate summary. Huge storms. Oh my God, extremely useful, extremely useful. Like me being a little sailboat going out in the ocean, and Mr. Right has managed to keep that little sailboat alive and around, despite the huge waves given by the sea.
Yeah. So what should we do now that we've thanked Mr. Right for everything that he's done in order to let him go and move into the new boat or the new adventurer in order for you to sail to a whole new level of your life?
Well, we can throw him completely away. He's done so much for me that it would be very unfair for me to just dump him.
Correct. So what would you like to do instead?
So how about we put him on top of the cupboard so that we can still see him, but he doesn't necessarily have to be left out.
And how does that make you feel, knowing that he's in the cupboard, he's there, he's not left out, and he's there in order for you to see, but you've let him go so you can acknowledge where you were and you can start to move forward? How does it feel?
Freeing.
Wow. So now I want you to step into the adventure now that you're free, right? Okay, and now I want you to say, I'm free 3 times.
I've got it now. I'm not letting go. I'm free.
Okay, all right. So now what I'd like for you to do is to think about who are you going to inspire now that you've become the adventurer in your life? Who's going to be inspired by this?
Oh, everyone. My clients whom I thought that being Mr. Right would be best. I think even so, my clients, whom is the people who I wanted to, I guess, impress the most, would be the people who, ironically, would be also the most proud and impacted people. that for a start. And
Yep.
pretty much everyone else, I think my family would be very proud. My friends, if my friends see me being more creative and less analytical, I can think of one in particular. If he ever sees this, he will know who he is. He will be like, what the hell? Who is this guy?
Wow. And why would he be so inspired by you stepping into the adventurer?
Because it's a zone of extreme discomfort for me. Extreme discomfort, but yet I need it so much.
And knowing that there is discomfort there,
Takes
what
a lot.
makes
Notably,
you feel so certain that this is so important for you to do?
well, I think it's notably admirable because of how much use Mr. Right has given to my life. And just the fact to be able to park him away and take the adventure is just something that very people in the right mind in my situation would do. Yet the right choice.
So how does it feel knowing that you've finally let go of Mr. Right and that you're stepping into the adventure, sailing the open seas and getting ready to skyrocket your life?
I like this book. Yeah, I like it. I like to be an adventurer. Very much so. I like it. It's very freeing. It's like, it feels as if suddenly having that much pressure to always be right, it's just not needed. It's not, it feels like it's not, it feels like it's not needed. Even so, 15 minutes ago, I was just telling you how crucial and inseparable that is from my life. Just 15 minutes later, it feels as if it's the right path, so long as Mr. Right is being taken care of and is not being left out too much. Or sometimes he has to learn that he's gotta go like actually inside the cupboard, not like on top of the shelf. Yeah, it's very freeing. I am an adventurer. Is the takeaway. I am an adventurer as well. Yeah. I like it. Life doesn't have to be. Yeah, I don't have to play my life in veteran mode all the time.
So which mode are you on now?
I'm feeling easy plus or normal. And very much the topic at the beginning of being analytical, I was seeing people who live life in easy mode as it's just too easy. I don't want to say idiots, but that's just the word that would summarize it well, although it has its reason to be. But now I'm, in the other hand, I am on those exact shoes that I described with that word, and it feels like living the life in easy plus mode. I still cannot mouth the word easy. I have to add a plus at the end. Living life in easy plus mode isn't such a bad thing. You don't have to be responsible for everything. You don't have to. You don't owe anything to anyone. I mean, unless to your clients you kind of do, but maybe not that much. You would not gain. I wouldn't gain more business if I was more like that. I don't think like the creativity would counterbalance it in many other ways. that are just as essential as being analytic and perfect would. So you can't miss that duality. You can't miss that other area of life, because then it's extremely boring. It is functional but extremely boring. So yeah, conventionally functional and boring is what I went for, but also allowing the other side, it's too helpful. Clients would love it. Everyone would love it. If I start actually allowing to build fun products and do things in even more different ways that I'm doing now, that would, yeah, my developers would be proud. Not to like name them, they would know. Yeah, they would be very proud. Clients would be, family would be, dad would be, sister would be, friends would be like, what the hell is going on with you, Ben? Notably.
It sounds like the start to an adventure.
It does. It does. It does. We can pet Mr. Right. He's done his job. I can stay over there. It's cool. Yeah, I think the adventurer can stay on the desk for the next 2-3 months at least. Yeah, the adventurer needs to remain at the desk for the next 2-3 months at least. Is the right choice. I'm happy.
Okay. So that was probably a little bit different than what you were expecting.
It was completely different to what I was expecting. Completely different. If you had told me that we were gonna work on the duality of creativity and analytic, I would have told you, no, I'm a creative person just as much as I am an analytic person. But not in all areas of my life. There was the key. And yeah, I couldn't differentiate. Yeah, funnily enough, I am a very creative person. I am a very analytic person. It so happened that in some areas I was extremely analytic because it had, well, I thought I was hiding with that and resisted some tempests, some hurricanes with that. There was no hurricane visible, neither anywhere near. So yeah, on those areas of life and on that circumstance particularly, it's time for the adventurer to come out and find some dolphins while it's in the sea, find some whales, find some whatever. Yeah, find some adventure.
Wow,
Go explore the islands nearby.
I think that we're going to start to sail in a pretty cool direction now, Mr. Ben. How are you feeling?
Very, very good. I honestly feel like I cannot even believe it. I am impressed. I am just like, what the hell did we just do in the last hour? I know that's my state. My brain is like, this was extremely useful, and then my heart layer is like, what the hell just happened?